Meanwhile, China is digging another hole for itself. No, this is not a metaphor, although that holds too. This story is about China drilling another massive hole into the crust of the earth. They started last month. The first one they started last month. China began drilling a 10,000-meter hole in the Xinjiang region. They said it was for scientific exploration. Now, this is the second hole that they're planning, and this one, they say, is for commercial reasons, to find some oil and natural gas deep within the Earth's crust. Our next report tells you more.
Humans have always been a curious species. We mapped out the Earth's surface centuries ago. Since the 1960s, we've been finding our way through space. But there's one region we've been slow to explore, the one beneath our feet. Humans have barely scratched the surface of the Earth's crust, but China wants to change that. It has begun drilling a second 10,000-meter hole. It already started digging one such hole in the Xinjiang region in May. Now, this second hole is being dug in the crust beneath Sichuan. A quick geology lesson: the Earth's crust makes up only 1% of the planet. It's like a shell that covers the other layers, the mantle and the core. The crust beneath the Earth's oceans is about 5 to 10 kilometers thick. On land, its thickness ranges from 30 to 50 kilometers. That's barely anything considering the size of the Earth. But despite the crust being such a small layer of the planet, humans haven't been able to investigate too deep. Moscow has been able to go in the furthest. During the Soviet era, they dug the now-defunct Kola Super Deep borehole. It is 12,262 meters deep, a world record. Work on this hole began in 1970, and it took Moscow 20 years to reach that depth of over 12,000 meters. But the appetite to dig deeper seemed to have vanished in the last few decades. After all, it didn't make a lot of commercial sense. The Earth's crust is hard to pierce. It involves a lot of science and specialized equipment, something that can dig up and remove kilometers upon kilometers of rock. And it's not just rock down there. The Earth's crust has layers of liquid and gas that can hamper drilling machines as well. Not to mention, the drills need to work in temperatures that can cross 260 degrees Celsius. So you can imagine that the excavators will be expensive. The cost just didn't seem worth it to most countries. But that's not the case with China. When it began digging the first hole in May, the hole in Xinjiang, China said it was for scientific purposes. Chinese state media had called it a telescope into the deepest end of the Earth. The project was supposed to look for rocks from the time of the dinosaurs, assist in the prediction of earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. This new hole in Sichuan serves none of those noble purposes. It's operated by PetroChina Southwest Oil, a subsidiary of the China National Petroleum Corporation. We just mentioned how there are fluids within the Earth's crust. Liquids and gases that can disrupt drilling. Well, China is hoping that these fluids are actually fossil fuels. In May, a Chinese oil firm reportedly discovered substantial oil and natural gas at a depth of about 8,500 meters. So Beijing knows there's fuel down there. Now it wants to extract the fuel from deep in the Earth's crust. This is part of Chinese President Xi Jinping's plan to become energy self-sufficient. So the country is trying to both transition to green energy and find its own sources of fossil fuel, even if Beijing has to dig towards the center of the Earth to get them. Once China starts extracting fuel from beneath, it becomes immune to oil supply shocks. Then it won't be dependent on fossil fuel surplus nations like Russia and Saudi Arabia. That's a smart strategy for national security, but not great for the world's climate goals. China is already the world's top emitter of greenhouse gases. The US is second. Washington just sent its climate envoy, John Kerry, to China to try and restart climate talks. But China said it will move towards green energy at its own pace. So it seems that China has an energy game plan that it plans to execute alone. And drilling deep into the Earth is a part of that plan. But will it go as China expects? Will they manage to strike oil or natural gas 10,000 meters below Sichuan? Will it even be commercially viable to extract that fuel? China and the world may find out sooner than you think.